Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan. Basically, this is a 46th number part basically of the Formula World. That is, this basically has created a world basically, Formula part. That is basically Formula World basically. Formula word basically, if this formula word is not getting cleared, then basically it's it's very difficult to calculate the formulas also basically, and formulas are basically set of attributes basically, you can say. So basically, each and everything basically when you are doing, then basically each and everything should be clear basically. For example, if you are telling that AC equal to actual cost, then basically you should have the detail of the actual cost basically, entire detail. I am talking to the. I am basically this is talking related. This is basically related to the project management plan group basically, who has created actually the project management plan basically, who has created the SDLC, that is basically software development life cycle. That group basically I'm talking about, because if you are doing telling that this is the actual cost, so basically you should have the detail about the actual cost basically. Reason behind this is basically, for example, there are basically 100 sectors basically, 100 sector, 100 industry basically are using the software industry, are using the software, and then basically that 100 software, 100 industry must be included in this AC basically. That is basically actual cost. If any of the sector is getting missed basically, then basically it's going to be in conflict basically. Reason is basically each and every things basically they are telling that we are using the software, right? Then basically in AC basically that has not taken into part basically. So basically, when basically that time basically when the this here basically the software energy is going to be in loss basically. Why? Because the softwares are basically getting used by the that sector basically. But the AC says that actual cost says that we have not taken. Then basically it's a loss for the software industry basically, because one day basically whenever the project management plan gets complete, the project gets complete, then when you find the overall picture of the project, total project done by the one country basically, then basically there basically it will come into the loss basically, because that sector you have not taken in the AC basically. That is basically actual cost. When you are, when you have created the actual cost attributes, that time basically actual cost attributes does not exist this sector basically, sectors data basically. That's why basically, so each and every attributes which you are creating, that must contain the each and every sector's data basically. You can say that this sector has used this software. So basically he they have used, that means they are basically in simple language basically they are going to come into the law of the software industry basically. That is basically cyber law. Each and every law basically they have already entered, because the data has they have used the software. So they have used once basically computer enters into the sectors basically, that is basically industrial, any industry sector, that basically they are basically the cyber law, software law, software energy data, software profit and loss data. Each and every data basically is by default going to pass it into the passed into the actual cost basically attributes basically, and then basically actual cost basically comes into many formulas basically. So we here basically still now basically we have not done we have not started the formula only, because when the this all things will get clear, then basically it will be good to understand the formulas basically which is designed by the, and in this basically there are many errors basically we have already tracked each and everything basically. So basically that basically you can say that might be by mistake happens basically. Human makes mistakes basically, because human says that we sometimes it's not possible to create the 100% system basically, because there are many sectors basically to came into the picture basically, and to complete each and every sectors into the computerized basically takes time also, and lots of difficulty happens basically. And um, the resource also SDLC group basically says that we also have some less resource basically, and to hire that resource, to hire the resource into the SDLC basically that also require very highly qualified skilled people basically. Only basically we can take the highly qualified people basically, and it's very difficult to get the highly qualified people also. So basically, lots of problems are there. So basically, whatever the highly qualified people are working in the SDLC department and in the SDLC groups who have created the formula, they are only basically working in that. So basically, this is that it's not easy to calculate each and everything basically. But basically, accounts department say that we never miss the thing, but sometimes basically miss happens because they are also human basically. If they gets the data that this sector has used the software, then only basically they can dump the data into the software, na? That actual cost is going to contain this data also. So basically they are each and every people are not god. Basically whatever the data they get, according to that only the things happens basically. So here basically we were talking about the formula word basically. In the formula word, it's basically you can say the cyber world also we are discussing, and basically simultaneously lots of things are getting discussed basically. Yeah, that is basically the cyber law. Cyber law also came into picture. The formula word also came into picture. Then the inside the formula basically attributes are there that came into picture. Then basically here the set of formulas are there basically that came into picture, and set of formulas are using the attributes that basically came into the picture. And attributes they say that we basically attribute basically. I will take one name basically, attribute balance sheet basically. You can say that there is one balance sheet of each and every attribute, you can say that. So basically if you will not do this type of thing basically, then basically you will miss something basically, you can say. You will be going to miss something, you are going to miss something basically, you can say that also, you can say. So basically if you create the balance sheet of the each and every attributes, that is 100, that is only going to help you to clear each and everything basically. So that basically in future basically if you are missing anything, then basically from this basically you can able to track, because you are creating the balance sheet, and balance sheet says that both sides should be equal basically. So if anything is getting messed or getting plus minus, then basically from here basically you can able to easily track the thing basically. Balance sheet means that is basically accounts department topic basically, accounts related thing basically. But you should know basically we people the mostly basically in SDLC departments, each and every engineering people only basically gets the admission and gets the job basically. But this is basically related to accounts, so that's basically very simple. That is basically balance sheet is there. Balance sheet means it should be tally basically, that's all. This is the balance sheet. So in if you are creating the balance sheet of each and every attribute, formula basically that basically by default will come into the attribute. Because so for example there is 100 attributes which are getting used in the project management plan formulas, then basically 100 balance sheet has to be prepared basically. That is basically very must basically, you can say. If you are not creating, then basically in future basically you might get 100% going to be in problem. So basically you should have to create the balance sheet of each and every attributes, you can say that basically. That's my view basically. It's that you have to create the balance sheet, and without balance sheet nothing basically is going to work. So basically here basically we are stopping the 46th topic. So 46th, after 46th topic we are going to discuss something more about the formula and the keyword basically, and cyber cell security, cyber words basically what, and how basically cyber world works, that each and everything basically we are going to see. This is basically 46th part. In 47th part we are going to discuss a little bit more about the formula word and other things gets into the picture.